Hi, this is Torrin Atkinson from torrinatkinson.com. My music is too loud. Let's fix that. And I'm here today to talk about the new Player's Handbook art by, what's his name? Tyler Jacobson. That's the guy. I posted on my Facebook a few days ago because people were talking about it. People were talking, and now I'm talking about the people talking about the thing. And because that's how YouTube works. Now, what I said was, all other things aside, this is obviously a wonderfully crafted image, which I enjoy. The thing that I said is that it exemplifies Dungeons & Dragons, modern Dungeons & Dragons specifically, although I think even going back like maybe, 30 years, maybe even further back than that. The core handbook, the core player's handbook for Dungeons & Dragons has an abundance of complexity. And I feel that is represented graphically, visually, in this image, because there's a lot going on. And I just thought it was interesting. And I thought we may take a little a walk down memory lane and look at all of the Player's Handbook's artwork and kind of compare and contrast the visual styles. And I'll just make my comments. By the way, I am an illustrator. I've never done any covers for Dungeons & Dragons books, but I have done a lot of interiors and some covers for other books. So I know one thing, two things. I know a few things maybe. One thing I wanted to talk about the differences, and we can look at them as we go through this gallery that I've curated. Just to look at, artwork is about, especially illustration, is about directing your eye, directing the viewer's eye to what the artist wants them to see. So you can do that by making like a focal point, or you can do it by like moving the eye around so that the eye will never leave the plane, the composition. And I think this is a kind of combination of both. We've got the main characters in the front here. We also have this. Let's see the way the sword leads into the face, and the neck kind of swoops down and it comes back around here. There's plane of this architecture here, and the horn that comes around. So that's kind of happening. This kind of a big circle that keeps your eye moving around and around. This is all kind of more or less subconscious if you're not thinking about it. And then there's also just this kind of like this kind of through line here of her arm, and the characters kind of looking down in that direction. So I think that's great. One thing that we always have to consider, this is a cropped image. This is for a book cover. Let's look at the wider version. Is this, here we go. So you can see compositionally, this is a kind of a whole different beast, if you'll excuse the expression. And somebody somewhere, the editor, the art director, decides, how to crop it, where to crop it. They probably had a big discussion about this before Tyler even made mark number 1. But let's move on to the next one, shall we? Actually, let's start from the beginning. Boom, 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 boom. Number 1, here's the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook. Woo! And this obviously has just this is the focal point, right? The two dudes stealing the eye out of the statue, the icon. Nicely framed here by this architecture lit up from the brazier. And then all this cool stuff is covered up by text. That's sad, but that happens. Here's where the text should be going. But yeah, this is David A. Trampier, I believe, and I'm going to go on record right now and say that this is of the ones we're going to look at. This is my favorite. It's kind of iconic. It gives you the sense, perhaps that the new one doesn't, which somebody mentioned on my Facebook, of exploration, the dungeon. It's not just heroes being heroic. It's like exploring. One of the pillars of Dungeons and Dragons. Let's move on to number 2. Again, this is like a focal point. This is Jeff Easley's artwork. And, you know, all the lines are kind of heading towards this center dude. This warrior with the sword. And he has obviously left a lot of space at the top for all this text. And that's the way it should be done. I don't really have too much to comment on this one. Great job. Great job. Hey, Cthulhu Inc. is in the stream. Hello. This is going to be short. And then this is 3rd edition, and it's not even a drawing. This is they crafted a physical book with all these little gewgaws on it, and they took a photo of the book, and then they printed that photo onto the cover of the Player's Handbook, which I love. I think this was a great idea. It's kind of like, it's a bit meta. It's like, now you have a prop from the game. You are the wizard with your magic spell book. And I thought this was a brilliant idea. This is 4th edition, and this is Wayne Reynolds. And obviously, it's just the focal point of these two characters. There's not too much complicated about this. You know, Wayne has this delightful style where he is really a master of like the highlights and the lowlights, the darks and the shadows and the highlights, to put it another way. It's kind of annoying how there's this huge bar at the top. Like, could they just not have put the text here, and then we could see a little bit more of the, oh, I got a new keyboard and it's problematic, of the, you know, the stalactites going here, because I can kind of see how that would like add to the composition. Again, it's cropped. It's like she's kind of like if this is the center line here, she's kind of like nudged over a little bit, and you can see like there's clearly more that was drawn on the right side, and we don't get to see that. And then this is actually, this is the current Player's Handbook for 5th edition, also by Tyler Jacobson. Excuse me, got a little bit of a cold. And again, the focal point is right there. It's kind of this circular thing going around, but it's very much kind of like, you know, all these lines are kind of pointing towards this, the almost dead center in the book. But again, taking a look at the wider picture, because it's a fold around, it's a wraparound cover. So this is the front, and then this is the spine, and this is the back where they put all the, it's time for adventure, are you up for the challenge, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like they cropped. I don't feel they maybe they didn't need to crop quite so much. Like, look at all this cool stuff that's happening here. You can really see this other character here. But that's that. All right. I wanted briefly, since I'm here and everything, Gewgaw is a nice word. That's true. Like I said, I've never drawn any covers for D&D, but I have drawn a lot of interior art, and I just thought, since I would hear, what would I do? Prove yourself, art talking guy. Put your money where the mouth is. Okay, well, I got some ones. This was for Player's Guide to Freeport, I think, or the Pirate's Guide to Freeport. Pirate's Guide to Freeport by Green Ronin. And as you can see, it's I can't use my highlighter because it's a black and white drawing. So maybe I'll just make it black. So yeah, you can see if this was an exterior, then obviously all the text would go here. But you can see the stairs are coming down, and then yeah, it's it's Serpent Man. This kind of breaks it here, like his face is kind of facing away, so that kind of breaks the swooping, like really, like maybe I think like maybe should something his head like better come back here and point back towards. But that's not the way I did it. Let's move on to the next one. Here's one where, I mean, there is kind of the focal point and up in the sky, but everything here is just kind of like, it's going everywhere, right? It's not really supposed to be, they're not all supposed to be, because this is Madness in Freeport. That's the name of the adventure, Madness in Freeport. And this was not the cover again, but it was, I think it was the frontispiece, the first page or something like that. I might be wrong. But it gets the idea across that there's, you know, there's the tone, the visually chaos is happening, and tonally chaos is happening. So there's no unified structure for what's going on, except for, again, not dead center, but center top imagery. Here's another one where everything's pointing towards the middle. The dudes are looking, their eyes are looking in the middle. The perspective is going in that direction. And, you know, the focal point is definitely dead center for this. Sorry, that was kind of low resolution. And we looked at that one already. Last one? No, I got a couple more. This is from Bastards and Bloodlines. It's kind of like creating this motion of like everything just swirling, keeping your eye. First you're looking at this guy, then the leg leads you to the monster's face, and the monster's body comes down to this guy, and he's kind of pointing back in. But you can also follow his leg down, and then oops, goes out of the picture. But and then there's this character here, which is also yeah, kind of like that. I mean, it's not perfect, right? Last one, Bastards and Bloodlines again. Oops, that zooms out a little bit too much. Focuses on the guy in the middle. This kind of is looking at you and like inviting you to come and be part of the mob. He's kind of pointing not directly at him because I couldn't quite make it work with the real estate that I had. Yeah, these guys are all looking at him, this guy in the middle. And yeah, this kind of breaks it up. This kind of goes nowhere. But generally, you can see the principles that I'm suggesting of having it move around your eye. Cthulhu Inc. says, Frazetta's Conan versus the Fire Giants is still a classic illustration of the genre. Well, let's look at it. Let's look at it right now. Let me grab that. Because Frazetta, you know, he's a master. Conan versus Frost Giants. Frazetta. Sorry about my keyboard. Yeah. Can I copy and paste? Let's just see if I can do that. Oh, but it's gonna be, let's copy and paste into this one. Zip. It is good, isn't it? Sorry, I'm just kind of doing this on the fly here. That's not very, let's do red. Eye direction. It's kind of like a happy face, isn't it? He's got this swooping arm that leads up to this axe, and then there's this guy, and then there's this guy, and then this just kind of like creates the. We got the rule of threes in the art world, right? It's where if you divide your canvas up into thirds, you should be putting either focal points or the horizon lines in those areas. It's a guideline. It's not a rule. So yeah, we kind of see this rule of thirds here with the composition here, and then look at that. Look at that S curve. Beautiful. Right into this guy's face, and he's choking on his own blood. Sad for you, Thorgrim. Okay, so this brings an end to Torin Talks About Art Stuff. Please do the liking, the subscribing, and check out my other many wonderful, to some, art videos, drawing videos, where I draw live. And I also do Dungeon Master stuff. So Thanks for joining me, Cthulhu